I'm Mark McClure.
And I'm Pam Tenhoven.
Welcome to the Holland Podcast. Welcome to the first of many episodes of the official Holland Podcast. I'm Mark McClure.
And I'm Pam Tenhoven.
We're coming to you from Crete, Illinois. For those who don't know us, we make up 2/3 of Holland's marketing department. I am Holland's multimedia designer.
And I am the corporate marketing manager here at Holland.
And this podcast is something we've been wanting to do for about the past year or so. And we're really excited to get it off the ground. We're going to be here to bring you all the news and happenings and goings on at Holland, and anything we feel you might need to know or want to know.
Yeah, and hopefully have a little bit of fun along the way, and you guys will be entertained and maybe fall asleep to our voices. I don't know.
So we have just a few things to get started today. Pam, would you like to?
Sure. In today's episode, we are going to be having an interview with Chief Operating Officer Mike O'Grady, followed by June's Safety Focus of the Month, delivered by David Wright. And we'll wrap up and learn a little bit more about the All-Star program with Tiffany Wenrich.
All right, so should we get started?
Let's go.
All right, here is our sit down with Holland's new Chief Operating Officer, Mike O'Grady. So I am here with Holland's new Chief Operating Officer, Mike O'Grady. Mike, how you doing?
Hey, Mark, how are you today? I'm doing well.
Good. Thanks for joining us and welcome to Holland. Great to have you on board. So start off, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thanks, Mark. I joined Holland in February of this year as the Chief Operating Officer. I'm born and raised in the Chicagoland area. I'm actually from Oak Lawn, Illinois, and I graduated from the University of Illinois. I have spent the last 10 years of my career being on the road 100% of the time. So it's really nice to have a chance to get off of the road. I live in Plainfield with my wife and 4 children, and coming out to Crete every day and being a part of the Holland organization has been great for me.
Yeah, Plainfield's a nice area. I think we had talked before. I grew up right down the road in Shorewood there. So don't meet a lot of people from from out west too much.
I moved out there right after the tornado tore down the town, and it's kind of nice actually. I have a CN line that runs right behind my house, and so I'm always looking for an opportunity for us to do maintenance work out there, so I can go out and meet some of the crew that's out in the area.
There you go. Most important question, maybe Cubs or Sox?
You know, that is probably the most important question that we have to cover right out the bat, which is 100% Cubs fan all the way.
All right. So, in my understanding, for different companies and organizations, depending on their needs and how they're run, particularly the role of Chief Operating Officer can mean a lot of different things. So as far as your role at Holland, and your title as Chief Operating Officer, what roles will you be taking on?
The traditional role of Chief Operating Officer is the person that's responsible for daily operations of any company. For me, like as I try to look at what exactly that means, at least for 2017, it has me focus in on 3 areas. First and foremost is safety. That's an everyday activity that we're all committed to making sure that we get right. But in addition to that, when we talk about daily operations, here we're talking about improving work processes between groups, trying to improve that communication between the different business units within maintenance of way and the support organizations, and just trying to make sure that we're doing right by our customers. And then thirdly, my role is one that has to make sure that we're managing our operating costs. So in order for us to be as profitable as we possibly can be, we need to make sure that we're spending our money on the right parts of our organization.
Good to hear. And telling off that, are there any interesting challenges you've come across? I know you've only been here just shy of 3 months, but any interesting challenges and things you feel like we're going to be overcoming in the next year? That
One of the biggest challenges, I think, and this is an industry issue, is that of safety. And I think one of the things that really attracted me to Holland as I was going through the interview process and getting to know some of the people better was around the commitment to safety. So our BHAG aspiration is to be better than the best Class 1 railroad in terms of safety. And I take a look at what we're doing right now, and I see us well on our way to moving towards that goal. That said, I think it's all about vigilance. It's about about challenging ourselves on a daily basis in order to achieve that safety goal. So the second challenge that I think is right in the bullseye of the role of the Chief Operating Officer is one of improving communications across the organizations. And whether this is between business units within maintenance of way, for example, between mobile welding and the H-Tech organization, or between any of the operating business units and the support organizations. For example, with human resources people and how they're able to bring in new people through the onboarding process or identify new potential recruits. It's all about communication and making sure that each part of the organization understands what it is that's required, and then in turn, people are able to do their jobs in support of delighting our customers.
Well, as a communications person, that's really great to hear. Mike, thanks again for joining us. And in closing, is there anything you'd like to offer the rest of Holland? How can the employees of Holland help make Holland better?
Thanks, Mark. I appreciate the opportunity to have a chance to get to know you and participate in this podcast. Just so I just kind of want to get it out to the field. One of the goals that I have for myself in 2017 is to try to spend at least every other week out in the field, having a chance to meet with the different groups from maintenance of way. And I do that because, one, I'm a field guy. I started my career working out in the field. I enjoy being outside and having a chance to work with the folks that are out there. The other part of it is that I really believe that I will learn by observing and by tapping into the knowledge of the people that have been doing this their whole careers. So, my ask as I go out in the field is to the people as they have a chance to meet me, share your experiences. Let me know what's on your mind, things that we can improve, and things that you really think that Holland is doing well and we need to make sure that we preserve.
All right, Mike, you've been awesome. Thank you again, and go Cubs.
Thanks a lot, Mark. You have yourself a great day, and go Cubs as well.
Are you looking for a form? Need benefits info? Or just want to catch up on what's going on around Holland? Visit hallnet.hollandco.com. It's your one-stop shop for information and frequently used resources. That's hallnet.hollandco.com.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Wright. I'm the safety director here at Holland. What I would like to talk about today is our critical safety focus of the month topics. We've rotated different topics each month this year, started last year. And the critical safety focus strictly focuses on the way you are most likely to be injured as a Holland employee. There's a lot of different ways you can get hurt, but what we've taken is the trending information based on the injuries that we've had in the past, and we want to communicate as much education to our employees directly related to how they could get injured. And that is what the critical safety focus is all about. So this month, the month of June 2017, we're going to focus on struck by injuries. There's 8 categories that I can briefly discuss. You also see a video on HallNet that'll piggyback the topics, but I'll just give a brief overview about struck by and the different ways that you can have an injury, a struck by injury. So one is working underneath cranes hoist and scaffolds. A little more information will be forthcoming about that. When performing overhead work, there's the ability to have a struck by injury. Working with hand tools, there's definitely ability to have a struck by injury. Working with power tools such as drills or grinders, working with machines such as jackhammers, rail spiker, spike puller, or rail saws. Working with powered actuated tools. The seventh one is pushing or pulling objects that may become airborne. And the eighth one, in which we've had a injury this year, was working with compressed air. So there'll be information coming out in the pamphlet that kind of piggybacks those categories that go into a little bit more depth. But that is the critical safety focus of the month for June 2017, and it's struck by injury. So make sure you take a look at that. It'll piggyback this information that I'm relaying here. That information can be found on HallNet on the safety page, as well as the safety rule of the day email that comes out every single day. It also includes the critical safety focus of the month. We've enhanced our communication to include that information. So as always, be safe out there.
I'm joined today with Tiffany Wenrich, our Corporate Communications Manager, and she's going to discuss our All-Stars program. Tiffany, can you tell me a little bit more about our All-Stars program?
Sure. Our All-Stars program is something most people in Holland are probably already a little bit familiar with. Depending on how long you've been with the company, you might be a little bit more familiar, a little bit less familiar. But when it comes down to it, All-Stars is Holland's peer-to-peer recognition program.
That sounds pretty fancy. Can you tell me what that actually means?
Sure. I'd like to think that the program is pretty fancy, but when it comes down to it, All-Stars is the way that each and every one of our team members can recognize one another. So, the people that you work with daily in your department or your business unit, they're all doing fantastic things. And not only do your supervisors or managers have an opportunity to recognize them, but you do as well. And I think that's really important, that we give everyone a platform to recognize one another and celebrate the big things that people are doing around Holland every day.
That sounds great. I know this program has been around a while. What's new or different with it?
The program has been around for a while, and it's gone through a couple of various iterations, I guess, if you will. And right now we're working on relaunching the program in the middle of this year. And one of the biggest changes is that instead of it being awarded annually, it will be awarded biannually. So the winners will be chosen in July and January the following year, not just in January of the year following like they were previously. Another thing, which is a bit of a component of it now, but will be more heavily focused upon as we move forward, is that nominees will qualify under one or more of the BHAG, 2020 Vision BHAG, Safety, Quality, or Leadership, or Holland's core values. So we really want to make sure that we're tying everything together.
Okay, well, how would I go about nominating people for the All-Stars program?
Right now, you can visit hallnet.hollandco.com, and there is a link on the lower right-hand corner of the page. You click that, and it takes you to the All-Star nomination form. Pretty simple form to fill out. You just have to list the person's name, your name, and a little bit of information about why you want to nominate them. We encourage everyone, although we're all awesome and we know that, not to just put Pam did something awesome for me Thursday in that description area. I want to put a little bit more information about exactly what they did and how it ties to one of those core values or safety, quality, or leadership. In the future, you'll still be able to nominate someone through HallNet, but IS has done a great job developing a new platform, a new nominating platform that's a lot easier to use, has a lot more information, allows more communication with the nominators and the nominees. So that's pretty exciting, and that will come out with our relaunch mid-year. You'll also be able to call your HR representative to nominate someone if that's easier for you, if you're, say, out in the field and don't have access as easily to the internet.
Thanks, Tiffany, for sharing all that information about the new All-Stars program. Do you have any other information or news to share?
One thing is, as I've mentioned a few times already, this will be relaunching mid-year. We're hoping to get that done towards the end of June. So please keep an eye on your inbox as well as HowlNet for information on the All-Stars relaunch. We're hoping to do a bigger and better All-Stars program and celebrate that with a whole week long of festivities and information in June. So keep an eye out.
Thank you, Tiffany, for sharing that information today. And everybody go and start nominating people for the All-Stars program.
Thank you, Pam.
Well, that about wraps it up for our first episode of the Holland podcast. Thank you a ton for listening in. If there is anything you would like to see featured on the podcast, or if you'd like to be on the podcast, feel free to email us at podcast@hollandco.com. Pam, is there anything else you'd like to add? before we go?
Thanks. I'm really excited that we finally got this first podcast episode in the books and wrapped up. I'm excited about the information that we can provide to people. And another way to find out some information about Holland is through our social media sites on Facebook and on LinkedIn. All you need to do is search for Holland LP. Now, the LP is important. Don't forget the Holland LP. And find us, like us, follow us on Facebook or LinkedIn.
All right. Thank you. Once again, thanks for listening in, and we will see you next time.
Goodbye, everybody.